Hello, today we are going to look at the new GTAFE Electric Automotive Mechanic, and under the training of the whole vehicle, we are looking at the failure simulation training. Now in here there is a list of different failures that you can walk through. This one will be the nuisance tripping. It tells you up top what the error is or what you're working on. It will also give you a description of the failure that you saw just a minute ago with the instructions of how to proceed. Now it also will have a failure diagnosis and a maintenance and repair as we're walking through this entire error. So we're going to go ahead and get started and hook up some tools and then see what we've got going on. Once we've got the diagnostic instrument connected, we want to go ahead and identify the vehicle. So we want to go ahead and make sure that we display all the failure codes, and we want to click on those codes as it could be from the last time. So we want to now go ahead and click on the start button to turn off the vehicle and restart the vehicle in order to get an accurate reading from the diagnostic tool. So now we're going to go ahead and read the failure codes again. And this time there are no failure codes. That means that we need to go ahead and put the instrument away and proceed to the next step, which will give us the battery parameters using the battery CAN diagnostic instrument. Whenever we're working with high voltage anything, we need to make sure that the students understand that they have to wear protective equipment. So this is just a reminder as they're walking through that they know that they need to make sure and put on that equipment in order to stay safe. Next, we're going to go ahead and get into the diagnosis. Now you can see we've got the CAN battery diagnosis set up and we're checking on the voltage. When we get this reading, we see that the number 25 and 31 batteries is abnormal. In addition to the battery itself, the battery failure is related to the sample wiring harness and the battery manager. So we're going to check those two things to see what's going on. We went ahead and opened up the trunk as we're going to go ahead and replace with a new battery manager. Now that we've replaced the battery manager, we're going to go ahead and check the readings again. And it still said the failure still exists after the battery manager has been replaced. So now the battery manager can be excluded. We have to go on and continue with our diagnosis and next looking at the sample wiring harness. So we're going to go ahead and exit the CAN instrument. And we're going to go ahead and replace the battery manager before we go on. Now that we've replaced the battery manager, we're getting into the sampling wiring harness, and we have to go ahead and replace that. So I went ahead and removed the cover, and now you see I can go ahead and replace the sample wiring harness. And we're going to look at the battery voltage again. Now it says that after replacing the wiring harness, the failure still exists. So at this point, we know that it can be concluded that the sampling wiring harness is not the cause either. So what's next? We need to now go ahead and replace that wiring harness before we move on. Now that we've replaced the battery manager and the sampling wiring harness and they've been excluded as being the problem, it can be concluded that the battery power itself, or the power battery itself, is the cause and will need to be replaced. So now we can go ahead and go into the maintenance and repair section. In identifying that the batteries needed to be replaced, we need to go ahead and safely make sure that the batteries have been disconnected. So in order to do so, we have to go ahead and remove the safety buckle and then remove the cathode for the connector. We also want to make sure that for safety that we do get the tape and it is wrapped around the cathode of the battery pack. Has been disconnected from the vehicle, we can go ahead and we can separate the car from the battery. And the battery pack has been disassembled at this point. Now we will go ahead and install the new battery pack in the same manner that they had removed the old one. Now that we've got the batteries replaced and the battery lift has been removed, we can go ahead and lower the car back down, and we want to go ahead and reconnect the battery. Once we've got everything reconnected for the batteries, we need to go ahead and calibrate the battery capacity. So we're going to go ahead and grab our tool, diagnostic instrument, and reconnect that in order to calibrate. Once we've got the battery all connected and now we've got the diagnostic instrument connected, we are going to go ahead and go to the calibrate battery capacity. So this time we want to select the subsystem and go into the battery manager, and we're going to calibrate the battery capacity. Now we need to know that the SOC calibration is at 35% and the normal capacity is 200 AH. So in here we want to put the 35 and the 200, and we want to click OK to see if it's calibrated. Calibration is completed. Now we can go ahead and put away the diagnostic tool and put the doors. Lastly, we need to go ahead and check the maintenance checklist and ensure that we have the failure, we've identified what the fault detection and how we got to the process of being able to change out the batteries, and then finally what we did was replacing the power battery. And that would be the end of this troubleshooting and walking through the nuisance tripping fault reading. Thank you.